like that was weird. Welcome to Good Talk, the home of where the talking is good. It's your boy Cody and the other guy and another guy. Once again.
Let's get some video.
There it is. Why are you doing vertical?
Correct.
Cardinal sin, right?
Cardinal
sinner.
sin. That's the way it's sinner.
Sinner.
All right, let's turn this way. Gregory!
Craig!
Say hi to the people.
Hi.
This is producer number
2?
3.
Oh, I
Nomad,
always forget about
Carolina,
Nomad. Poor guy.
And Craig. Eventually, we'll get one that sticks.
Yes.
So, Craig, what do you want to say to him?
Hello.
Hi there. Hi.
All right, great. Oh, so don't use that because I was adjusting, and so all right, well, good. All right, so
You
wave
just
at
you
us
just
because
gonna,
this
like,
is going
hold
to
it
be our official B-roll.
The whole time.
Yeah, so whenever we want to say something to Craig,
You know what we
can
could
roll
do?
the-
We could put up a
you can roll him
tripod that you
filming.
could put your phone, and that way you always have a Craig cam.
We need a producer cam.
Ooh.
What we should have
Just
done.
use his FaceTime camera on his laptop.
It is a nice camera.
What we should have done is we should have had a producer cam, and it should have just been an empty chair until
Oh
we got
my
one. And we
gosh.
could have been like making references to it and
So
be
sad.
like, "This is our faith. We have a producer." In case y'all don't know, it's important for us to have a producer because there's been multiple times
Too many to count.
where the recording has just stopped.
Which you guys know. If you've made it this far in the Good Talk and you're a regular
It's true.
listener, you know.
It's true.
You've heard it or seen it for yourself. There's been times where the video goes away or maybe the audio stops and we have to do this weird like restart thing, and hopefully if someone sticks and stays. No, that's kind of the idea that a producer could be there for, to help make sure
Yeah.
that that doesn't happen, or if it does happen, we don't have to really stop and start in the same way that we have before.
And then also we can take all this audio gear and shift it
Get
to
it
the
outta here.
producer
Get it
so they can produce. Because right now I'm like trying to mix audio levels and stuff. So I heard probably 10% of what you just said. But
It
I'm
wasn't
sure it
really
was
anything
great.
important. I
Sure, it was
mean-
wonderful. But yeah,
Just
so
talking shop here.
talking
on the,
shop.
The
so
side of good
if
talking
anybody
things.
wants to, if you think you can be a better producer than Craig,
Oh gosh.
drop us a DM or a comment, or just call him out in the comment section. Be like, I can do better than Craig. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that.
That's so sad.
just kidding.
He's literally been on the job for less than 5 minutes. And
I
we're already
know
looking
it.
for his replacement.
We're not looking. I'm saying if somebody thinks they can do better. So that, I mean, we're trying. I know it's me pitting people against each other, and we shouldn't do that. But I think it'd be entertaining.
Oh man.
It'd be a great conversation to have.
Battle to the death. May
Battle
the
to
best
death.
one win.
Right now, your mic's really quiet, so maybe move it down a little bit and put it more.
Hello.
Oh yeah, see there it is. All right,
There he
I can
is.
also give you. I can feed you more power too.
Give you the juice.
So Craig, you got anything you want to say to the people before we get started?
Stoked to be here. And if you think you
Yeah.
can do better,
Aw.
by all means.
What?
So if you think you can do better, by all
No,
means,
we
you
can't.
know.
You're gonna do wonderful. I will say this: a producer's role at our level of a pod is probably pretty boring. Like once you get the audio mix, once the camera's going, you're just basically sitting there waiting for something to go catastrophically wrong.
I mean, honestly, you're kind of a glorified tech babysitter. At least right now. But who knows? You know, as things progress, we might just they're there. We might as well talk to you. So I mean,
Oh, we're going to.
we're not going to pretend you don't exist.
Yeah, we won't. Yeah, I mean, you're a part of the pod. You're-
Now it's
you're-
weird though, because
you're a
like, do I
podhead.
look at you or do I look at the camera? Because when Carolina was here, she was sitting behind the camera, so
Yeah.
it's like I just looked through the camera at her presence. And so there you are.
All right, that's good.
You're right there to the side. Hey there.
If I'm talking to the community, I'll look at the camera. If I'm talking to Craig, I'll look at Craig.
Perfect.
It's very subtle, but big difference.
I think they'll notice. But like Craig said, he listens to the pod more than watches the pod.
Yeah.
So Craig has
For
no
sure.
clue who we're looking at.
Never.
That's true.
Well, you could be
Ever.
looking at the ceiling for all Craig knows. He doesn't know. He doesn't even know if we're here.
I am curious if you are a
Oh, yeah.
if you are a listener, a regular listener, really just in general to all podcasts. Are you a video podcaster or are you an audio podcaster? Like, do you like to listen or do you like to watch or both? I'm more of a listener myself. I don't really have the time to sit and watch a podcast. I know there are people. Wow, what are you doing over there, my guy? You're messing with my headphones. I'm over here like, where did my
All right,
voice
is that
go?
bad? This is why we need a producer.
My goodness.
You
What
were
is-
really loud in my ears, but I couldn't turn
you-
down my ears because
you
I can
turned
barely
down
hear
my
him.
ears.
So I turned down your ears. I'm sorry.
I can't watch a podcast. Now, granted, I've never watched
Yeah,
one,
sorry for
so I
interrupting
can't
that.
say that I can't watch one. I just don't watch one because usually when I'm listening to a podcast, I'm doing something else.
That's true.
It's like I'm exercising, I'm cleaning the house, or I'm going on a walk, or I'm in the car, or this, that, and the other. I can't really watch a video while I'm in the car. It's ill-advised and probably more than likely very illegal.
I prefer to watch them. Even if I can't commit all my attention to them, I'll pull up the pod on like the iPad, like while I'm doing dishes or whatever I'm doing. I'll pull it up on YouTube, and I don't know. It's something about like I feel more connected to the pod if I can see your face. You know.
That's cool.
But I will say,
I can't do that.
It's okay. With that being said, it's weird. I have this one Broncos podcast I listen to, and they are obviously on Spotify and they're obviously on YouTube, and they do what we do. They shoot one pod and then blast it out across
All the platforms.
internet universe, right? And so if I start listening to it on Spotify, I will not pick up and continue watching on YouTube.
Really?
Or if I start watching on YouTube, I won't finish on Spotify. It's like I'm totally loyal to one or the other. I can't like intermix it. I just feel weird about doing it. I feel like, I don't know, I'm betraying YouTube if I like I started this pod on YouTube, I got to finish it on YouTube type situation.
I mean, that would make sense. Like if you're gonna watch something, yeah, you want to finish watching it.
Yeah.
But like this is very rare. If I ever listen to a podcast on Spotify and then listen to the remainder on Apple, I don't really feel like that's too weird. It might take me a minute to find my spot again, but I could
Yeah.
do that. But typically I'm an Apple podcast guy just because it's just, it's all kind of there already ready to go. So
I don't understand Apple.
you listen
Like,
you,
I
you
just
use
don't.
Spotify?
I don't. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like even
Yeah,
for
I
your
don't
pods?
I don't get the new Apple Music. I don't get
Ugh, Apple Music.
iTunes. Is that still a thing? I don't understand.
There's no iTunes, it's just music now.
See, I don't understand any of it. Where do you listen to Apple Podcast?
Apple Podcasts.
Is that like?
It's an app on
It's
your
just
phone.
it's just podcasts.
I think I have said app.
I'm sure you do. I think it's like a
One
like
of
by
those that
default it's just there. You can delete it, but yeah.
Nope, that's music. Is it that podcast one?
Yes.
Yeah.
The
See,
purple
I
one.
do have it. Who do I follow on here?
It's like set up your
What's
account for the
new in
first
Apple Podcast? It's been a moment.
You haven't opened it since you updated probably forever ago.
Shit. Oh, this looks nice though.
Yeah, they actually updated it like probably about a while ago now, but it seems a little bit better
Sleek.
to navigate.
Oh, okay.
Here
All
we
right,
are.
good.
Checking out the
Yeah, here we
podcast.
are.
Here we are. All of us are on our phones
We're
right now. for
checking
those-
it out. All right. Well, anyways, this is something to do for another time. But oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Okay, great.
Speaking of all the
I need to
changes
check
that are
out.
happening at Apple, are you going to get a Vision Pro?
What is that?
Oh.
Wait. Hold on.
What?
Is this? I've seen Instagram videos of people walking around with
Yes.
virtual reality headphone or headsets
Augmented
on.
reality, but yes.
What is this,
Dude,
What is happening?
it's the future. It's the future.
I saw someone driving with one.
Okay, I don't think that you should probably do that. I'm
And
pretty sure
another-
that's going to be illegal.
And another person was walking across the street.
Yep.
The person that was driving, these were videos, obviously. I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
see it in person. The person driving was in a Tesla, so I think it had the auto drive thing.
Okay, well,
and they were
that
wearing.
kinda makes sense.
And I was like, I don't know what's happening. I'm watching it and I'm thinking, is this real?
Dude.
This looks really dangerous. This guy's walk. I saw another one with a guy in a restaurant. Like, what's going on?
Okay.
Enlighten me.
It's pretty awesome. I mean, to be completely how I feel about it, I feel like it looks stupid, but it is very cool. I mean, the sense of like you have essentially this electronic Apple device attached to your face, and basically everything you do on your phone or your computer or your iPad is all available.
So it's like Iron Man.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when Google Glass came out, everyone was talking about how that was like a big jump in like tech, and I guess it kind of was, but no one wanted to wear glasses, so I guess they're like, let's wear goggles instead. I don't know. They're like,
goggles.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, glasses aren't cool, but goggles, that's even better. But it's pretty wild. I mean, I've been watching some videos on it last night, and this guy basically, he was just walking around his home, and he basically has pinned all these windows in his house. Like when I say windows, like these like digital windows of like he had like a basketball game pinned to like his living room wall. He had his Twitter feed pinned to his refrigerator door. He could leave the room and come back and it's still there. And with his fingers, he could make the screens bigger or smaller. He could mute
It's
something.
Iron Man.
It's pretty wild, dude. It's pretty wild.
What's the point of that?
I guess to just be one with the machine. No, I don't know. I
What's
guess
the point of that, Craig?
So I think with Apple, I think they're trying to make it to where you can have like a workflow. So I think the idea is you sit down or wherever you are, and you can have like how people work off different monitors. You can work off different screens in real life. But I mean, I was watching a video where it's like I think it was like Casey Neistat, and he's just walking around Times Square with
Yeah.
YouTube videos pulled up of Mr.
Right.
Beast.
Of himself.
It's
I mean,
just
it's
like-
still pretty new. Yeah, I mean, I think
So you can see the real world
Yeah.
whilst
Yeah.
other stuff.
I think that's
Yeah.
what's pretty wild about it is like to the outside world, you look kind of ridiculous because you're like, you could be like moving some stuff and everything like
okay,
that.
so
but
that's
like
what-
you can see through the goggles, so it's like kind of like how AirPod Pros have like the pass through. Like you are very much listening to music, but if someone talks to you, you can still hear them. It's kind of like the same way with like Vision Pro. Is like you can look at your Twitter feed or your workflow or whatever you're doing, but you can also still see the world around you.
My concern is that people will be wearing these and forget where they are.
Well,
Because the guy that I was watching that crossing the street, like he stopped in the middle of the street and was clearly doing something.
Well, I don't know why he
if he
would
was like
stop.
I don't know if he was shuffling papers or like moving an Instagram feed around. I don't know what homie was doing. And then all of a sudden he started walking again. I was like, because Christian has VR. He has the MetaQuest. He got it a couple Christmases ago.
that's the Facebook one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so like you're in VR, but like what's really cool about it is you set up a perimeter, if you will, perimeter, a space area. And if you go outside of that area, it's got cameras on it. And now he literally walks around the house with this thing on.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, I see those videos of people like running into their TV with wearing it. And I'm like, that must be older technology, because as soon as Christian steps outside that zone,
Yeah.
he literally can see everything.
Yeah.
And so, but the point is it stops all other communication. It's
Right.
just a camera now.
Yeah, yeah.
You're looking at it like you're looking through regular glasses. So, but you're saying with the iPhone one or whatever, like
Vision Pro, yeah.
like stuff is there all the time.
Yeah, I mean, there's the option to like black out your surroundings with the goggles, to where like if you really wanted to, you could isolate yourself with specific screens or specific things you want to do. But in I think probably a default setting is like you're able to experience the world how you normally would, but also have your technology in your field of view.
I don't
What's
know.
also
I don't
kind
know
of
how I
weird
feel
though,
about all
and
this.
you might remember this, when you're looking at someone with the Vision Pro, it shows the person's eyes, but it's not actually. I mean, it's like a reflection, like it's like an image of your
LED
eyes.
wall.
So the video I saw with Casey Neistat, like you couldn't even see his eyes. It was like you
Right.
could see like a flesh tone, but it looked like he had like ski goggles on. And so like he was on a subway station, and this dude sits down next to him, and Casey's just like looking at him, and the guy's like, the camera, like the producer or whatever, is like going
awkward.
back and forth, and the guy's like, "What are you looking at?" And he's like, "You."
Did he really ask him?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
man.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't want to be that old guy that's like, no to new tech. But it's like at the same time, I can't imagine like a worship night on a Wednesday night. We got 60 students in there worshiping God. They're all wearing these goggles. Like that's gonna be really weird. I feel like we're slowly removing the humanity aspect of humanity.
It's gonna happen. I mean, at least to some level. Maybe not widespread to where like every single person has goggles on. I think, and hopefully they make it much more sleek and slim and cool looking. But I mean, I would assume contacts are the end goal, to where you could just put them in there and then no one would even know it.
Yeah,
end
and they
goal.
talked about like making it like more accessible and more like cost effective, because
Yeah.
right now they're so expensive. They're
Stupid
like $3,000
expensive.
$4,000.
Oof.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it stays up there.
But it was, I mean, it's kind of like AirPods. At first, everyone was just like, that's ridiculous. Like, no one needs that. And then all of a sudden, everyone has AirPods.
That's how I
AirPods-
felt about the
yeah.
Apple Watch. Like I
Yeah.
remember Chad like was on the list to get the very first one, and I was like, "That's so stupid. Like
Yeah,
I
you
would
don't need
never."
that.
And then like fast forward
Now
a
you
year,
have the
no,
biggest
I'm
one
not
they
the
make.
biggest one on my wrist. So it's like, and I love it. I can't like I don't wear it one day, and I like, well, I don't love it. I like it. I'm trying to get
It's
better
okay.
about
Say
that.
it's
But
okay to say you love it.
I like it, and I don't wear it one day, and I feel so weird without
Yeah.
it. So like
Yeah.
maybe it'll get to a point where I leave the house without my Vision Pro, and I'm like, what do I do?
Oh no! Can you take phone calls on the Vision Pro?
Yeah, I mean,
Probably,
it's
yeah.
literally like,
So does it have to have? Does it work in tandem with your iPhone? Like, do you have to have your iPhone, or is this thing got its own data?
that
plan?
I haven't done a whole lot of research on. I would assume that it's like similar like the watch. It's like Bluetooth. It probably needs
Okay.
a phone or something to
Here's-
be the hub. But I mean, with that price tag, it better work on its own.
Well, yeah, that's true. So here's what we're gonna kind of talk about.
Do it. Let's do
whether
it.
we go this way or not. I feel like with all the technology, I feel like we're slowly losing ourselves in how to interact with people.
Well, I mean,
How do you have conversations? How do you talk to people? Like, I get so irritated, and I try not to do it myself. And I've started giving like an explanation. Like if someone's talking to me, like yesterday at church, a lady was speaking to me, and I pulled out my phone and I started typing my phone, and I told her, I was like, I'm just writing this down so I don't forget. Don't think I'm texting
Yeah.
or I'm not on Instagram. I'm just writing this down so I don't forget our conversation. And so I believe that there's that side of things where it can be very useful.
Sure.
But at the same time, I don't like it, and I try not to do this. If someone's talking to me and then someone texts me, I pull up my phone while they're talking, and I start checking my text. But I know a lot of people do that, and it drives me nuts, and I'm trying not to do it myself. But it drives me nuts, and it's like, here I am.
yeah.
Talk to me and put
Yeah.
your phone away. And I feel like I remember the first time this started happening, I was at someone's house, and I won't say who they are, but there was 3 people in the living room, and they were all texting each other trying to figure out where to go to dinner.
Instead of talking to
Is
each
this my
other.
house?
Won't say who they are, but they're right here in the
No,
room.
it really wasn't your house. It was somebody that you guys don't know. I was in New York when this happened, and one was on an iPad.
I feel
One
like
was
you
on
really narrowed down who it might be if they know who you are.
That's true.
Craig,
I did.
bleep that out.
Yeah,
Put down the
bleep it out,
time code.
producer. Yeah.
Just kidding, just kidding.
So I just said that to confirm to Craig that
Sure,
it
I
was
did.
not your house, but it does sound like something that might happen in your house. I mean, honestly, Rachel and I do it. Like, we text each other. Like, I'll be in the bedroom and I'll be like doing my devotions or something, and she'll be in the front room working on schoolwork, and we text each other. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I feel like there's maybe some people think it's illegitimate. I think it's legitimate concern.
I think it's with everything. As long as there's like a healthy relationship with it, I think it's going to be okay.
That's a good
but
point.
I think that there is the potential to get lost in it, to get consumed by it. I mean, I think a big part of I feel like the whole era of COVID really like set us back in the sense of like personal communication, interaction with each other, because we all had to basically involve ourselves in this digital way of communication, interaction with each other, that sometimes people didn't even know how to act when they got back together in person. That like we're kind of putting ourselves in
Whoa,
this
too
place.
close.
Yeah, like I don't know how to talk to you. I have to use my voice. Like, ugh.
Do you think it helps or doesn't? I'm wondering. I'm just thinking out loud. This is kind of a weird pod. I wonder if it helps or hurts people in a relationship with God.
With technology.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like when you're talking person to person, there's somebody there that you're talking to. But when you're talking to God, I know He's there,
Sure.
but He's not there in tangible form like you are, like Craig is. So I wonder if like sending stuff to the cloud has helped us, like send stuff to the ultimate cloud, which is God, you know, like being able to have this virtual relationship with Him, if you will. That's super weird to say. But like, you know, learning how to have a relationship with something that's not tangible, I wonder if it's actually maybe kind of helped in our relationship with the Lord.
Maybe it could be just person to person at that point. I don't know. I don't know how to contribute.
Like I
to
said,
that
this
question.
is a weird pod.
Probably, maybe. I don't know. I guess if it helps someone to think in that way, it could. I guess I don't really have a whole lot to add. To
Well, I mean,
that
think about it.
question.
Think about it. When I send a text from my phone to you, to Craig, to Rachel, I just believe that it gets there.
Well, usually a phone says delivered.
I just believe that it gets there.
You fully trust that it does.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
yeah, but that delivered and read technology is pretty new.
Yeah.
You know, we've been texting for a long time. I remember my first Nokia phone that was the size of this Stanley Cup.
Oh
you
my
know what
gosh.
I mean? It was like, hello, you know, and texting. We did the T9, so I'd have to touch like A 3 times to get
kinda
to
miss
C,
that a
or
little
you know,
bit.
Same, honestly.
yeah. So well, I'm sure you can set up your Apple to do it.
You
but-
probably could.
Probably. Gee, I want T9 keyboard. You know how you can have English or Spanish or French.
It's like
I
an
want T9.
attachment that attaches to the bottom. You have to use a physical keyboard.
But anyways, like there is kind of something, if we can segue from technology into this relationship with God, as we always do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something about that's kind of like what prayer is, and having a conversation with God is like you're just trusting that it's getting where it needs to go. And I think that's, I don't know, I feel like technology has, if I really sat down and thought about it, kind of helped me with that.
I feel like you've already like changed your position. At the beginning, it seemed
I'm
like you were
getting
kind
there.
of like against it, or
I-
you're hesitant of
I
it. Now I
fully
feel like you're
convinced
on
myself
it.
that goggles are the way of the future now. I've done a 180 in a matter of minutes.
You've been
here.
converted.
I've been converted. So great. But
I do like that, though. I mean, obviously, you know, we can use natural things to help us, you know, try to understand. But it's like if we have faith in that regard of like when I send someone a text message, I should have that same level of faith, or even greater faith, that like when I send a message to God, that He at least receives it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that He understands my need, and He might not get back to me right away, but He received it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
He's not going to leave you on red.
yeah, there you go. He won't leave me on red. There you go.
Jeez.
That's the quote right there.
I'm so glad that's the quote. Timestamp it, Craig. I'm so grateful that God doesn't like speak to you, and then when you go back to communicate with Him, He says silence notifications.
Do not disturb mode.
Do
is
not
on.
disturb mode.
Notify
Let me just
anyway.
say, Craig probably thinks we're talking about him the whole time on the pod, but it's just a trigger. If I can get on Rob's pet peeves, like if you text me and then instantly when I go to text back and it's like do not disturb, I'm like, bro, you just text me. Are you thinking I'm not going to respond? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. We probably need to start this whole pod over because I'm making myself look real bad right now. But what are we even talking about here? What's happening?
I don't know, but I mean, I guess
God is never on Don't Disturb. You can talk to him anytime, any place, any day. Yeah.
I think what's coming up for me is like intent versus impact with technology, even because you were talking about how, like, you know, does this virtual world help us with a relationship with God, right? And I think it's really just the intent of that, because like what Cody was saying, if someone's thinking about it that way, then it probably does help them because they're interacting intangibly with people, and that's our whole relationship with the Lord, short of like signs, wonders, and miracles that are manifested.
Right.
And so I think it's really just like the intent versus the impact. Like, is the technology having a negative impact on your life?
Mm-hmm.
And if so, then you need to go back and revisit your intent with that.
Yeah.
And then same with what we were just talking about.
Yeah,
So,
I think same with that, or just to piggyback off what you're saying, like if for whatever reason, if the technology is helping you in your relationship with God, if that's the only way you're able to have a relationship with God, I feel like that's a problem. Like,
Really?
yeah, absolutely.
So let me ask. So if someone, the only time they read their Bible's on their phone,
I feel like probably, I mean, or even in the sense, maybe not. That sounds really bad. If that's their only access to a Bible, I think it's a different story. But like, if that's the only way that they have a relationship with God is through technology, I feel like that could be a problem. That's not healthy, because I feel like our relationship with God should be in every area of our life, whether technology is there or not. I mean, you got to think about, like, that is what the enemy tried to do during COVID. He tried to shut church down. Now, obviously, we found a way with technology, but what if we didn't find a way with technology? If we didn't have access to cameras, if we didn't have access to the internet, would we have allowed the devil to win?
Yeah.
Would we have allowed that situation to hinder our relationship with God? I like to believe that it wouldn't.
Sure.
But there are probably a lot of people out there would have been like, well, guess that's done, and that's not good. Like, we should make sure that if the power grids got nuked today, which is the fear in this country.
Someone's been watching Netflix.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, that is like the apparently the thing that could actually really hurt us is if our power grids or whatever, if those went out, like, would that make it to where we didn't have a relationship with God? Would that make it to where we had no access to anything related to him? I feel like that could be an issue. That could be a problem.
I feel like something like that on a catastrophic level would cause people to lean into God more.
I would hope so.
Especially people who don't know him.
Yeah.
Because you can go back, not to get super morbid, but I remember when 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
Like, people fled the churches. There's something about the fear of that makes people cry out to their creator, which obviously you never hope it comes to something like that. But it's, and I hate that people will flock to him in a time of crisis, but that's the only time they flock to him. And I know that I've certainly been guilty of that when something's going on in my life, whether it's with my marriage, with my children, with my job, or whatever. I'm in a moment of crisis and I run to God. And that's an area to improve on, is making sure that we run to God all the time, not just when we're in crisis. Because like you said, he wants to, that would be like in your marriage, you know, checking out when it's bad and only being a participant when it's good. You're going to miss a lot of time together, you know. And I think that we tend to do that sometimes with God. We only really reference him in times of need instead of just enjoying the relationship all the time.
Yeah. And really just to even take a pause and go back, because now that I'm thinking about it, like, you know, if technology is our only relationship with God, if somehow like that is what our relationship is built on, it's same thing in like a human relationship, kind of like what you're saying. Like, if we only talk to each other through text messages, but we had no like real personal interaction, like our relationship probably is only going to be so deep.
There's no depth to it.
There is. I mean, I'm not saying it can't be, that it's not possible, because I believe that technology's there for a reason. It's wonderful, it's great, but there are issues if you're not careful. But we're supposed to have this deep connection, this personal interaction, this face-to-face, hear my voice, see this, see that. And I believe that God is the same way. It's not supposed to be surface level. It's supposed to be deep.
Yeah, I really feel like, you know, I agree. I think technology is wonderful. I'm all for it. I love my PlayStation. Like Craig, I like my PlayStation. All right, very good. Thank you. But there is something to be said, like, I remember the scripture where it talks about don't get distracted. Don't look to the left. Don't look to the right. Is one reason why I read my Bible with a tangible physical Bible. Is because when I try to read my Bible on my phone, I'll get text messages, I'll get notifications, and maybe that's why some people do the don't disturb. I don't know if that shuts everything off.
It does.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
there's different focus modes. You can set it up how you want. But
So
yeah.
so there's advantages to being able to do that. But I know even if I have all that stuff turned off, which I'm no longer on Facebook, I don't have the app on my phone or anything like that. But I know when I'm reading my Bible on my phone, that temptation is always there. Let me just close out of this real quick and check Instagram. Let me just check TikTok. Let me just check this, that. And I end up like doom scrolling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I come back to the scripture. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember I
Yeah.
got to read. I've noticed when I just sit down with my Bible or I sit down with my devotional, I've gotten rid of those distractions. And it really allows me just to dial in to this relationship. And it kind of goes back to what we're talking about. It's like I don't want someone to pull out a phone and start texting when I'm talking to them. So I don't think that God really appreciates me going to Instagram when he's trying to talk to me or
Yeah.
I'm talking to him. And so it's just a personal preference.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know that there's a right or wrong answer. Craig did a great job with the intent versus the what?
Impact.
Impact, yeah. So that's great, you know. But at the same time, I know Robert's weaknesses. And I feel like every single one of us should know areas we're strong and areas we're weakness, because I believe the devil will attack both of them.
Yeah.
You know, and one area of weakness is I'm easily distracted.
Yeah.
I'm like a dog chasing a rabbit, and then I
Yeah.
see something else that's shiny, and I'll be like, oh yeah, blah, 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 you know, and I'll go over there. So it's like I have to minimize distractions, otherwise I don't get anything done. I don't make any progress. And my phone used to be a giant distraction. Now it's a paperweight. I literally use it to text Rachel and like Google NFL scores. I mean, so so it's just minimize my distractions because I know I can't really be trusted in this area. And I think it's good for us to know our deficiencies, to know our strengths, to know our weaknesses. And then that's one reason why also, especially as a leader, for future leaders that might be listening, especially you younger people, surround yourself with people who are strong in areas that you are weak.
Yeah.
Because you're already strong in the areas you're strong. So
Yeah.
why do you need to add strength to strength? I need to add strength to my weakness. That's one thing why Rachel and I's marriage is so amazing and how God brought us together is because a lot of areas where I'm weak, she's super strong. I'm not the most organized individual. She's uber organized, right? She's not the best communicator in front of people. That's what I do for a living. And so
Yeah.
God brought this couple together where we
Complement one another.
thank you.
Yeah.
Like right there.
Look at that.
It's happening. We're interfacing.
We
at
finish
this
each
moment.
other's
sentences. I mean, look at this. The two have become
Too.
I'm just kidding. All right. Anyways, and so you know, I think when it comes down to it, I think every person just needs to be honest with themselves.
Yeah.
Like, will these Google glasses or whatever they're called be a distraction from the things that are vital?
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit probably easier, if I would imagine, with the goggles. Guess I'm just gonna. They should just call them the Apple goggles. I don't know why they're.
What
the
are they
Vision,
called?
The Vision Pros.
Vision Pros. Okay.
Versus the Not Pro one that's not available. Maybe that's what they're playing. Is eventually there's gonna be like a Not Pro level. That's gonna be like the, I don't know, the beginner level, the novice, Vision novice. But you know, with that, it's like there's so much available that the distraction could be very easily there.
Yeah.
Like at least with phone, it's like you have to actually swipe away to go to the next thing. It's not immediately available unless if a text message comes up. But yeah, I think it was like a week or two ago that we talked about on the pod of like not making excuses.
Yeah.
You know, or like like you're saying, if we recognize that we have this weakness, if we recognize that like, hey, I'm easily distracted, why would I purposely put myself in that situation? Where like if I know that I have to get with God and if me reading my Bible on my phone, if there is huge temptation to be distracted or huge temptation to not be fully present, then I should not read my Bible on my phone, or I should not let that be my God time because I won't be completely focused in that time. I should do what I need to do to make sure I'm able to hear for him and read his word that without the distractions.
Yes. I think that's how we'll get the most out of it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that that's something that God is endeavoring for all of us to do is just to minimize distractions so we can focus more on him. That is the ultimate goal of every day of our life, is just to learn how to focus more on God. And there's so many distractions that keep that
I
focus
was gonna say
from
that's so
happening.
hard. It's so hard
There's
to be.
so many distractions, and I really don't believe this is going to be incredibly offensive if people want to get offended by it. But I don't believe we're a very disciplined culture, anyways. And so I think it's something we have to get better at. I think we're so used to just indulging in doing whatever we want to do. And that's not always necessarily bad. That doesn't mean that people are living in rank rampant sin.
Sure.
But at the same time, if we want to sit down and watch Netflix, we sit down and watch Netflix. So that's one thing. Like last year when I did that fast, I realized how often I just went to the refrigerator because I could.
Yeah.
How often I went to the pantry because I could. And it's like I just lack discipline. It's like I'm here, I'm bored, let me eat.
Yeah.
You know? And I think it's just something that I don't know that, especially American culture, I don't know that we like to really be challenged in the area of discipline. I mean, one of the beautiful things about having a multicultural, diverse youth ministry is we get to see like how different cultures are very disciplined.
Yeah.
You know, and those cultures in our society are rising to the top, but it's because they are extremely disciplined, you know? And I think it's something that we just have to learn how to do better, because it's going to make our relationship with the Lord that much better, because we've got to discipline ourselves to not be distracted, to really dial in and focus on Him. And I use my children as an example. I probably shouldn't, but just growing up in the society that they're growing up in, they're very, you know, they have a lot going on. They'd probably love those goggles. You know, the more things on the screen, the better.
Yeah.
This next generation is incredible at multitasking.
Yeah.
Like I can't do it. Like I sent something to Wesley about this guy. Like you want to watch a movie? And the guy's like, yeah, let's watch a movie. And so like he pulls up the movie and it's on the top half while he's playing Subway Surfer on the bottom half. And the guy's like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, are you not stimulated enough? I can add another game on here if you want. And he's like, no, I can't even focus on, is this how you watch movies? And he's like, yeah, is it not good? I can add another. And it's just like, I feel like we've gotten to the place to where like we can't even focus unless there's 10,000 things going on.
Not to call out Nomad, but apparently he's able to like watch 2 animes at one time. One is subbed, one is dubbed, and he's somehow able to do both at once. And he's also reading a book at the same time, which is so crazy to me. It's like, how are you taking in so much information at one time? Are you actually retaining any of it?
And there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't know if it works when it comes to our relationship with God. I don't know if that's the highest and the best, because He is jealous for our attentions and He wants it exclusive.
Yeah.
He doesn't want us sitting in a church service and not being stimulated enough by the service. So we have to also be on Instagram and also be on TikTok and also be talking to our friends, because we need that stimulation.
Yeah.
We can't just sit and do one thing.
Yeah.
And it's okay to not sit and do one thing, like I said. And it's not a negative confession. It's like, you know, ADHD or whatever. I'm very like, I need something to do, you know, but at the same time, when it comes to my relationship with God, I realize it can't be that way. I just don't think. And again, we're all growing into this. So if you struggle with this, I'm not calling you out. I just say it's something that we need to improve on, that when we're in the moment with God, we're in the moment with God. If you want to watch a movie and play Subway Surfer while also you have YouTube on and also something else going on, that's totally cool. But when it comes to God, I feel like we just need to dial it in.
Yeah.
We need to be like, okay, I'm in the moment with God. And that's something we could even learn in our worship services.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we're here, and it's not even just about having natural, tangible things too. It's about mental discipline. Like when the Apostle Paul is talking about self-control, he's really talking about a disciplined mind.
Yeah.
And it's about when I'm sitting in service, I'm not thinking about lunch. I'm not thinking about my text messages. I'm not thinking about the things I have to do at work at the upcoming week. I've learned how to compartmentalize all that stuff and just focus on God and be with Him in the moment. And I really believe that's when we'll start allowing Him to minister to us in its fullest capacity, because we're ministering to Him. We've done made Him the priority.
Yeah.
We're truly seeking Him first, you know, and it's just something that I really want to improve on and get better at.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, and like you're saying, it takes time. It's especially like in this society where
It's normal.
it is normal. Like we are a very much multitask generation, and those because some of the older generation are not like that, which is in some ways that's great. That's awesome. Good for you, especially when it comes to God. Maybe you're able to be better than some of the other ones, but it's like, you know, not to call it our youth right now, but it's like there's people with AirPods in their ears, like during a worship service. I'm like, I hope you're not listening to anything on your ear, but I have no idea. Are you able to listen to something and also receive from God?
You are able to listen to music and have transparency mode on, so stuff's getting in, but I just don't know that it's the best.
Right. Yeah. I feel like not everything's going to get.
I don't know that you're fully going to get
Yeah.
everything that the Spirit of God wants you to get in that moment. We have to remember. You remember when Elijah came down off the mountain after he had that battle with all the prophets on Mount Carmel, and he came down, and then I forget who the lady was that was like, if you're alive by this time tomorrow, I'll kill you. And he starts freaking out, and God really comes to minister to him. And you remember it says that there was a thunder, but God wasn't in the thunder. There was an earthquake, but God wasn't in the thunder or in the earthquake. And then God came in as a whisper.
Mm-hmm.
And when God shows up in a whisper,
Yeah.
like you're not going to hear that
Mm-hmm.
if you've got AirPods in with music playing and you're watching something on YouTube and you're also playing a game on your phone.
Or if your mind's just everywhere else.
If
you
your
can even
mind's
take
just
out some of the
everywhere
physical stuff.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's something about that too that, like, I don't know, man. It's just like, I'm not a doctor and I'm not trying to be mean to anybody. I just don't know that it's healthy. I don't know if we just have to be able to sit in a room with God
Yeah.
without anything else going on.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, it's even for myself. It's very my natural mind's like, oh, I should listen to some music right now, or let me put a podcast on it, or let me, do like your mind's just like, oh, let me just have this TV show on the background. Like even
Yeah.
if it's just in the background,
Right.
it's just like it's like sometimes I just can't deal with the
Right.
silence, and like I wish I could, or I
think
should be able to.
I think it's somewhere for all of us to ask the Lord, help me grow in
Yeah.
this. Help me
Yeah.
help me learn how to turn off everything so I can be with you in the moment, to where I can be close enough to hear
Yeah.
the whisper, to where I can hear the small, still
Yeah.
voice. Because how many times have we had people communicate to us, I just can't hear God.
Yeah.
I can't hear God. I can't hear
Yeah.
God. Well, can you not hear God, or do you just have 10,000 other things going on
Yeah.
that's keeping you from hearing God?
I mean, so
And again, it might not be the 10,000, hold your place
Yeah,
there.
you're
It
good.
might not be the 10,000 things like an iPad here, an iPhone here, a TV here. It might just be the 10,000 things in your mind
yeah. Yeah.
that need to be silent
Yeah.
so you can hear God.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember how long it was now, but I was doing this. Or I'm doing this unplugged thing. That's kind of like my challenge for the year. My wife and I are doing this together. I wouldn't say it's a New Year's resolution, but it's just something we've been endeavoring to do, to be unplugged from our phones,
Yeah.
especially when we're at home with our children. I'm
Sure.
killing it, man. I'm like almost like 150 hours in. Like I'm doing awesome. I've been banking some hours, doing really great. But like, it's been so great because I am so much more present with my children.
Yeah.
Like they have my attention when I'm at home. They might not always have mine, but I have their, you know what I mean? Like I'm able to focus on them, and I'm not distracted by this little black box, this little
Yeah.
window. And it's been so great. And I think back to even just like a year ago or however long it was. And, there's just been, it didn't happen often, but there were like times where I'd be like playing with my kids, and like, we'd be playing, and there'd be kind of like a lull in the moment. It's like, let me just check my phone real quick. Let me
Sure.
look at this. And before I realized that I've been sitting on my phone for like 5 minutes, my son's
Yeah.
like, Dad, put your phone down. And like,
Yeah.
he's like, at that time, 2 or 3 years old. And he's like, put your phone down. And like, in that moment, it's like, oh gosh, like they're noticing that I'm not paying attention to them, and they want me to be present with them. And I feel like in a lot of ways, that's with guys. Like, hey, just put the phone down. Like,
If they
let's-
notice, so does God.
right? Let's be present, and then let's be with what's happening right now. It might not be the most grandiose thing. It might not be the most exciting thing to your stimulus, or however that's verbalized right there. But it's like, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm speaking to you. I'm doing something with you. Let's just be present with what's going on. And even with my kids, it might not be the most exciting thing for me to do.
Yeah.
I don't always love
Sure.
running up and down the hallways, or I don't always love, making forts, which I do most of the time. But there are definitely
Sure,
days I'm like, I don't
absolutely.
really feel like
Everybody's that
doing
way.
this right
It's
now.
not-
But like, I know it brings them so much joy to have their dad be present with them in the moment. And so I know that brings them joy, and it brings me joy that brings them joy. Like, it'd be the same with God. Like, he just wants us to be
Absolutely.
present with him in the moment. And it takes time, but I think it's some of this unplugged thing is like, I set myself to it. I've
Yeah.
determined it in my heart.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I believe and I pray that it's not just like a diet thing. I want it to be a lifestyle after this. Like, I want it to be something that I've made a part of my life, is that I'm unplugged, especially when it comes to my kids. I just want to be fully present so I can be the best father I can be.
And there's something to be said about that. It's just like and Craig can relate to this because I know he did a 21-day fast and I did one too, but it's like, it was amazing how much time I had. Because like when I fasted food, I don't know, did you?
It's wild.
It's wild, bro, how much time I spent eating. And that had a trickle effect too. Like when I fasted food, I low-key kind of fasted my phone at the same time. And I had an abundance of time. And I always hear people say, well, I just don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. You do.
Yeah.
It's just being filled with something else. Let me use the example of working with the sound team at Praise and Worship. We have inner ear monitors. And in those inner monitors, they have a mix that they like to listen to. And lots of times, I'll have their vocals turned all the way up, and they'll be like, from the stage, they'll be like, Robert, I can't hear myself. Can you turn me up? And lots of times my response is, you're wide open. What can I turn down to make you clearer? What can I remove from the mix
I know where
so
you're going.
you can you
Yeah,
do,
I know where you're
right?
going.
What can I remove from the mix so you can hear what is desirable to be heard?
That's good.
And it's kind of the same way. If we take that sound theory into this relationship with God, it's not that we can't hear him. He's speaking to us.
Yeah.
He's communicating to us. But lots of times there's things that are competitive with the voice of God. They're competing for our attention. And so it's not a matter of just turning up God's voice. It's a matter of looking at Robert's life and saying, what can I actually subtract from this so I can hear what he's actually saying?
So good.
He's not gone.
Yeah.
He's there. Just like in that vocal mix, their vocal's not gone. There's just other things that are clouding it that are too competitive, and they can't hear clearly what they are desiring to hear. And so when I look at Robert's life, what's turned up really loud that's keeping me from hearing God? Is it concern about my finances? And that kind of stuff is removed as I spend more time with him. What's turned up so loud? Is it too much video games? Is it too much eating? Is it too much of this or too much of that? What's so loud that I can't hear God? And then let me just pull those sliders back a little bit, not remove them completely unless he tells me to, but let me just find ways to turn those down, i.e. don't spend as much time with them, so that way his voice can come to the forefront.
And that's really good, because I think that there is kind of a, maybe not a misconception, but maybe there's like a thought in people's minds like, well, am I just not supposed to watch Netflix anymore? Am I supposed to just not ever be on my phone anymore? It's like, no, but it's just more about the priority. Like, is it
intent versus impact?
Yes, like is it so much
Write
a
that
part of
down.
your life that it's hindering your relationship with
Yeah,
God?
and
not
that's the thing.
It's not necessarily that it's a bad thing. It's just like you're saying, you just got to turn it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe for a season, like you're saying, like
Sure.
a fast. Like maybe there needs to be a season of your life where you're like, I can't watch Netflix anymore. Or like last year, mine was TikTok. Like I had to just stop TikTok for a while because at night, instead of spending time with God, I would spend 4 hours doom scrolling on TikTok when I could have had at least an hour with God or even 30 minutes with God. But instead, I spent 4 hours scrolling TikTok, which did little to nothing for my growth as a spiritual being. But you know what I mean? But for a time, it really helped put things in order for me.
Yeah. Like I said, I've removed Facebook from my phone. I still have it on I still have an account.
Yeah.
I log in and I check. I don't log in because if I logged out, I would not know how to log back in because I don't have a clue what my password is or my email. But like once a week, I'll jump on my computer in my office, like on my lunch break, and I'll check it. And I realize I have to because a lot of people message me on there. Maybe that's something that someone else can do for me, so that way I can be completely
Producer Craig, got another job for you to do.
But like a lot of people message, and so I have to respond to those messages. But I'll say this: since I've removed it from my phone, it's been so nice.
Yeah.
Like you just don't. I think we just don't realize how much time we really waste on certain stuff. And it's just so nice not being on it and not worrying about it and not allowing something else to fill that space, but letting God to fill that space. And it's really helped me in my walk with him. It's really helped me grow in some areas that I needed growth. It's really, revelation's been coming and it's awesome. But it started with Robert turning down the dial. And then once I turned down that dial, I wonder how long God's been trying to get me these particular revelations, but I haven't been able to hear it because other stuff was too loud. And it's like, we ask ourselves, dang, why didn't you tell me that sooner? This is amazing stuff I'm learning about faith and stuff I'm seeing here and there. Where was that? And God's like, bro, I've been speaking that to you for like a couple years.
Yeah.
You just had everything else cranked wide open, and so you couldn't hear it. And so I wouldn't hesitate any longer. I would challenge yourself. Remember, my word for the year is progress.
Yeah.
I would challenge yourself. Make some progress and make a determination in your heart. Like, what can I turn down this week so God can be cranked up? Maybe turn down some TikTok time. The old tic tac,
What did Pastor call it? Is it the ticky tacky?
Oh my gosh.
I was just like, oh
So good.
gosh. I was like, please don't.
What can you turn down this week? Maybe turn down. Not that Netflix is bad.
Yeah,
Not that none
again.
of this stuff is bad. We started with technology. We probably spent too much time talking about it. But
No, some of the banter's great.
yeah, technology's not bad, but everything, impact versus intent versus impact, whatever the best way to say it is. But find ways to turn down some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of watching 4 hours of Netflix tonight, you watch 2 hours and spend the other 2 hours doing something else with God.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of spending 3 hours on the PlayStation, you spend an hour and a half on the PlayStation, an hour and a half doing something else. It's all about managing those other things so this relationship with him can flourish.
Yeah. My word for
Discipline.
the year is more. What's your word for the year?
That was amazing. Just the whole way you said it. More progress.
Well, because I just feel it's so funny because everyone just has. I realized that last week. It's just like I think Ashley pulled out the word intentional, and then you have progress. Pastor Mark has the church has favor. My word's more. It's just all these.
Well,
words.
I think God speaks stuff to our heart. Like
Yeah.
I've been on the favor train for a while, as Pastor
that's
has
true.
given me accolades for it. Wow! Makes you feel
You
good.
do hear from God.
Makes you feel- I know, right? And then he follows it up with, "I don't know why God gave it to Robert." Okay.
Gotta keep you in check.
Thanks,
Oh
bro.
my
Got to
gosh.
keep him humble.
Oh
But
my gosh.
I just think like, and I say my word is progress. It's not really. It's just something that I've been working on.
Yeah.
I want to make progress. I'm
Yeah.
serious about progress in God.
Yeah.
And I think that that's not just going to be a word for 2024. I think it's going to be the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like, how can I make this progress?
Yeah.
And one way to make progress is to turn stuff down.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, with my word being more, how can I have more of God in my? I just can't get away from it. It's so silly. It's so stupid.
Is it really your word though?
I mean, that's. I feel like, have you not been listening to the pod that we've been recording for the past few weeks here? No, I mean,
This is awkward.
I just feel like it's more of just a challenge for myself, but I also feel like for our youth ministry, it's just more of God in our life. You know what I mean? Not necessarily like more things.
So
or-
you got a phrase, not a word.
yeah, it's
more
just,
of God.
just more of God. Like,
Okay.
and you know, I joke and I jest about all this. It's just you can never have too much of God.
Yeah.
But I feel like
That's
you
true.
can have too little of God. So
Sure.
more God is only good for
It's
you.
only
and
good.
like you're saying, there should always be progress. So we can never settle for the amount that we have.
Yeah,
or we should
that's
we
true.
should never settle for the amount
That's
we have.
good.
We should always be
Yes.
endeavoring to have more of God,
Yes.
more knowledge of His Word, more understanding of how to flow with the Holy Spirit, better at better at following the Holy Spirit, better
Amen.
at being fruitful from
Yeah.
the Holy Spirit. You know what I mean? Like there should just always be
Growth.
progress and growth in
Progress.
this relationship with Him. Because I believe that that's how we're going to be a better representation of Jesus Christ in this world. You know, we should always endeavor to know Him more and to follow after
Amen.
Him better. And I think that's just, for me, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I just want more of God. And my challenge is for everybody is that you want more of God.
Amen.
Whether you want it or not, I'm telling you, you need more of God.
I'm really excited. What are they called? The Air Google Pod Pros?
Oh my goodness. You have like
Vision Pros.
all of these
Vision
names.
Pros.
We're like,
I'm really stoked to see the Vision Airs, where it's just like half goggles.
That's
So,
what I'm
like,
saying.
You can see like it's like those little Benjamin Franklin glasses. You know what I
half
mean?
moon
And it's like
glasses.
half moon. I want the Google Air Pro MacBook Air. I don't even know what
Just
I'm saying.
sitting on the tip
What
of
are
your
they-
nose.
They're called Vision Pros.
yes.
I want the Vision Pro Air.
Man, I would love to see
Half the
you in the
eyeball.
boardroom to decide what the name is, and they're just like, "What's it called, Rob?" And he's like, "The Vision Airboard Pro Max 38 Plus."
Version 2.
So
good.
great. Yeah.
Amazing.
TM Robert. Yeah.
TM. Go
Yeah.
get it. Turn some stuff down this week and let God be loud.
I like it. Ooh, let God be loud. Endeavor for Him to be loud.
a
in your
worship song.
life. Oh, might
Praise
get lou-
song.
I forgot about that.
Is it really?
Might get loud, right?
Well, might get loud. I mean, come
I
on.
don't know.
Let God be loud.
Yeah, let God be loud. I think that's good. I like that a lot. Let's endeavor to have to turn the volume down on some things this week.
Yes.
You know, again,
Slay.
let's have more of God. Let's progress in God. Let's have favor too. Let's do all the words, all the things. We need that stuff. But yeah, I think like what you're saying, God is speaking.
Yeah.
Always. God is always talking to us. But is there more distractions, or are there more voices in our life to where it's hard to hear Him? So we need to be honest with ourselves. Are we letting other things compete with the voice of God? And if there are other things that are competing voice with God, what can we do to bring the volume of those things down to
Amen.
hear Him better? So only you can answer that question, because I don't know your life. I don't know what you got going on. But get with God. Be honest with
Amen.
yourself. Turn those things down so you can hear God for yourself. Amen.
Amen.
We love you guys so much. We will see you on the next one. Tell them bye, Craig.
Bye.
Oh, yeah! He did the bye!
Yikes.
Okay, bye.